I am Gopal Rao. I am belonging to Department of Computer Applications, working as Assistant Professor, Aditya University. Okay, hi. Today I am going to tell you about the basics of the switching again, and what actually the switching is going to give some kind of pros and cons. That means there are some problems you are going to identify, and they can be referred as a delay, loss, and throughput. So these are the things today I am going to tell you. So finally, so what actually the topic is switching, and the topics related to delay, loss, and throughput in packet switching. So okay. So after completion of the lesson, so what you are going to achieve, if you want to put a question, so you can find out the basic idea about switching, and also you can find out what are the types of switchings you are familiar, and also you are able to notice what is the meaning of a delay, or what is the loss, and what is throughput in the packet switching. So these are the things what we are expecting after completion of the lesson the student is able to gain. So now introduction of switching. So actually why the switching is necessary? Why the switching is necessary? Suppose you have two systems, you have two devices, you have two nodes. The two nodes can be connected with a cable. It is not a problem at all. So for data communication, suppose you have 10 systems, you can connect. Suppose you have 1000 systems, then how you can connect for the transaction? So there you find out some kind of a problem. So instead of connecting the devices physically independently one to one, better we go for an alternative. Then in that case we have to depend on a device called a switch or a router. So the basic idea of introducing these devices is to provide a temporary connection among the devices, so that once the transaction or once the communication is over, then the device will be available for providing the connection to some other pair of devices. So that is why the switching is nothing but a concept, a phenomena where you can able to provide temporary connection by using a device between the devices. So that is why the switching is a very important phenomena. Based on that, you can able to connect the devices on a temporary basis. Remember, this is a very important point, on a temporary basis. You cannot have a permanent connection, so that every moment 24/7 you cannot communicate the device between the devices, because it is only a temporary basis. Once your turn is over, then it should be provided to some other set of devices. So that is the reason switching is a very important sharing kind of a concept we are able to identify, and that is called as technically a switch, and the concept is called as switching. Okay. So now you see the figure. So here the yellow blocks can be called as the switches, or they can be routers, and whereas A2 some called you can have some up to the letter J. So there are some computers, desktops. So these are the devices you can refer here. You see that in the center you are finding some kind of a circular kind of a figure, that is nothing but the scenario of the computer network, the network that is formed among the set of devices here. So suppose if A is interested to talk to H, you see this figure, suppose A is on one side and H is on another side, but in between that there are some other devices which are also interested to talk to the other devices in parallel. Then how it is possible? How you can provide a permanent connection? No, I will not recommend for a permanent connectivity among the devices, because it gives so much of what you can say problem to maintain the the connectivity and to manage the things, the cabling and all these things is a very problematic thing. So that I prefer only for a temporary connection. Thereby, I am introducing the yellow blocks which are referred as the switches. So, its job is to provide a temporary connection. On a demand basis, the switch is able to connect one side to another side, so that communication can be possible between the pair of devices. So, you can imagine, suppose A is interested to talk to H, then okay. So, A can take the help of I switch, or the first switch, or the fourth switch, or the seventh switch, or the A can take the help of the I switch, similarly the third switch, and similarly the sixth switch, like that. So, it can take any combination of switches in between, and finally its job is to transmit the information or carry the information from A to H finally, because A is called as the source device and H is called as the destination device. So, here you refer that the computer network is basically meant for data transmission between two devices, and the devices can be designated as a sender and a receiver, or a source and the destination. Source is the device which is having the resources to transmit, whereas the receiver is a device which is going to collect or receive the information or the message that is transmitted from the source. So, that is why these are the devices which are mainly responsible to actually satisfactorily conduct the transaction. So, in the figure if you see that, so the devices are connected basically by using the switches, and switching is possible here. So, that the temporary connectivity is able to see in this scenario. So, now there is one kind of thing you are going to mention here, that is called a switch is possible to provide a temporary connection, no doubt, but how the data transmission takes place is a very vital thing you have to understand. So, suppose you have a message called hello, but imagine that hello will not be transmitted as it is hello. So, the hello can travel between different okay, devices and between different layers. We are going to see that part in the later session, and this hello will not travel as it is like hello, and it is going to okay divide into different okay portions. You can imagine that portion can be referred here as a packet, and the whole message can be divided into a number of packets as far as the comfort is concerned, and these packets can travel in the overall network, and finally these packets has to reach to the destination. So, now what actually the packet switched network means? The packet switched network means any network which is able to transmit the message in the form of a packet, by which it is able to connect one device to another device on a temporary basis, is referred as a packet switched network. So, I think you are clear about what is a packet switched network. So, again in this we have okay different kinds of problems in the packet switched networks. Okay, in the packet switched network, one vital problem is called as a delay. Why delay is possible here? Suppose if you again refer the figure, suppose A is sending the information to H, let us say. So, A has to deliver, A has to actually release the packets to I. Imagine that I is the router, or I is nothing but a switch. So, both are able to do provide a temporary connection. So, that you can imagine I as a router or I as a switch, no problem. But here once A is releasing the information to I, the layers which are there at A at the source will divide the message into the packets, and these packets will reach first of all to the router called I, and there I is going to decide which route is comfortable to allow the packets to travel to the other side. Okay, that means I cannot, that means the router I cannot directly release the packets blindly. So, first of all it has to hold the packets and it has to check whether the other side of the source is properly assigned or not. It has to check first of all, means it has to keep the packets for a while at its end. Then because of that, the actual the time it is holding the packets can be referred here as the delay. Because of holding the packets for the checking of the other side of the route and releasing the packets after some time, automatically raises a problem called as a delay. This is because to verify whether the path that is the other side is clear or not. Suppose if it is not clear, if the router releasing the packet, then it will automatically struck, or it may be removed, or it may be dropped from the network, so that unnecessarily it creates some problem. So, that is why better the switch or the router is able to identify the actual position or the status of the route, whether it is clear or not. So, for this it needs some time. So, during the time interval it has to hold the packet for some time interval, then that particular portion of time is called as a delay. It is a very common as far as the data transmission is concerned between the source and destination, as far as the packet switching is concerned. Now, there is one more problem you are going to find out, that is called packet loss. So, when it actually is going to happen? So, packet loss is basically happening based on three important factors called as the congestion. Next is whenever any kind of corruption is taken place, or whenever any kind of any routing problem is occurred, then automatically packet will be lost. Lost means what? So, you cannot gain it again. So, once you find out packet is lost, means that lost, that automatically says that it is nowhere, you cannot find it again. So, that is why it is a very dangerous thing. So, there are three important reasons why these packet loss is happening or occurring. So, this is because the network congestion. Already I told you about in the previous session, what do you mean by congestion? Suppose if you beyond the load of the medium, suppose if you allow the packets to travel, automatically there will be some kind of a overflow can takes place, and that overflow automatically technically referred as a congestion. So, network congestion means beyond the limit of the medium. Suppose if you allow the packets to travel, it referred as a congestion. So, because of that, what will happen? So, anything may happen. So, sometimes the packets may be dropped, sometimes the packets may be corrupted, or sometimes the packets may not reach to the destination. So, it may reach to some other destination. So, that so these are the various consequences you find in the packet switching network. Suppose you recommend congestion. Then what is the other area where you should be very clear, should be very careful about the instead of losing the packet. So, that is called bit errors. Suppose you see a message, once it is transmitted by dividing that into a packet, packet is not a simple portion of data. So, packet is comprised of various portions called the header portion and trailer portion and the actual data portion. So, there are certain things, certain blocks you find out in this case of the formation of a packet. So, in that case, suppose if you wrongly organize the bits, so automatically what will happen is the miscommunication may carries, or miscommunication may takes place thereby. So, the packet may be corrupted, so that you will not get the proper message to the destination. You cannot get the correct message to the destination because it is corrupted in the actual transmission. So, this is another problem as far as the packet loss is concerned. and the third one is routing errors. So, routing is done by a router basically, and what actually routing is actually telling us, if you want to see, routing is nothing but deciding or telling about the correct path, the shortest path, the cheapest path, the reliable path from the source to the destination. So, suppose if you are able to decide, so that is the job of the router, to decide the shortest, cheapest and reliable path. That is why it is called as an efficient kind of a route you can call. And suppose if the router is not able to give you or provide you a proper route, then automatically packets will be dropped, because so after traveling to certain extent, the packet may be finding some kind of a congestion, or it may find some kind of a problem in the transaction, so that it may be dropped ultimately. So that is why this is because of wrong configuration. So wrong understanding of the actual the network, so that automatically the packet is going to get the consequence. So this is another important thing you have to consider. And the thing is the throughput. The last one is that is called throughput in packet switching network. What do you mean by throughput? That means the how much of the data you are able to transmit from source to the destination over a medium can be called as the throughput. That means the rate at which data can be successfully transmitted. So not only transmission, it should be a successful transmission you can call. The rate at which, that means suppose in 1 second, suppose if you are able to say, if you are able to say 100 bits, so 100 bits is the rate of that is called the throughput. Suppose you are able to transmit 1000 bits, so it can be called as the throughput. That means 1000 bits per second, if you see that, then it can be referred as the throughput. That means the rate at which the data can be successfully transmitted over a network can be referred here as a throughput. In the packet switching networks, because of delay, because of the loss of packets, the throughput will automatically reduce. Sometimes the packet is dropped, let us say, then how do you say the throughput is good 100%? No, you cannot accept it. Similarly, suppose the packet is falling in a congestion, then how you can able to say that it is already facing some kind of a delay problem, then how do you say that it is the throughput is good? No, you cannot accept this. So these are the various things you can consider in the case of the actual packet switching. And because of the throughput, so the factors affecting the throughput, what are the actual the factors which are affecting the throughput? Suppose if you want to have an idea, then better the thing is bandwidth. The bandwidth is nothing but the capacity of the medium to carry the message. Suppose the bandwidth is more, then it implies that it can able to carry more messages, more load. Suppose the bandwidth is less, automatically it is going to limit its capacity of carrying the information. So generally we recommend for higher bandwidth, so that the data can be transmitted without any problem, without any congestion, because so many switches are actually acting in between, the providing temporary connection between the devices. So suppose if the bandwidth is more, so the switches can accommodate more number of messages to transmit, to travel in the medium. Another important factor is congestion. Generally, whenever you are establishing a connection, better you see that the congestion should be the minimum. So if the congestion is more, automatically the throughput will be reduced. Similarly, you have to see the actual the transmission loss, packet loss. Generally, the packet loss can be reduced by providing a reliable transmission. A reliable transmission is possible by providing by using some kind of protocols called TCP, that means transmission control protocol. We are going to see all the details of TCP later on, but basically the transmission is what you can say, connection oriented or connectionless oriented, whatever, reliable or not reliable. So these are the basic things you have to be very familiar, because packet loss ultimately reduce the throughput. So, generally we recommend for the reliable services or connection oriented services by using a TCP protocol, so that we are able to get the maximum throughput. But practically speaking, for every reason, if you want to go for a reliable or a what you can say a connection which is what you can say reliable connection, suppose if you want to go for always, it is very difficult for you to provide. Okay. So, that is why alternative, as an alternative, you sometimes you may go for connectionless kind of service, because it is not possible for you to go for connection oriented service every moment. So, better you can go for connection less kind of services to some extent. So, that is why these are the things what actually I am going to express in this. What actually I am going to mention is what is actually a switching, and what are the different types of switchings you know, and what are the problems you go for you recommend for a switching, what are the problems you are going to identify. So, what are the basic reasons why those problems are existing, and how to overcome those problems. So, I hope you are clear about in this session. Okay. Thank you.